This is a short presentation on leukemia. In the blood, we have three main types of cells that circulate. The red blood cells, which carry oxygen, the platelets, which are involved in blood clotting, and the white blood cells, which are part of our immune system and protect us from bacteria and viruses. These cells are all produced in the bone marrow and then diffuse into the blood system. The original cell is called a stem cell. This cell can, through two different lines, produce the other type of cells. There is a myeloid line that produces the platelets, the red blood cells, and the white blood cells, and a lymphoid line that produces other types of white blood cells. Cancer is a disease caused by DNA mutations at the level of a DNA. The result of this mutation is an alteration of the way in cells divide, and cancer cells divide much more quickly and in an uncontrolled manner. Leukemia is a cancer of blood cells. The mutation can occur at any of the precursor cells and produce leukemia cancer cells. These leukemia cancer cells don't have any particular function, but what they do is they crowd out the system, and both in the bone marrow and eventually diffuse also in the blood, crowding out the blood. What doctors can do to treat this disease is use chemotherapy. These are strong drugs that are designed to kill dividing cells. However, these drugs are not specific for cancer cells. They affect all dividing cells. The general objective of chemotherapy is to kill off all the cells that would have been the product of the division, but leaving some stem cells which will eventually replenish the blood cells. However, even if a few cancer cells are left behind, these can regenerate the cancer, the leukemia. Therefore, one option that doctors have is to use a much stronger chemotherapy and other strategies to kill off all the cells in the bone marrow, but this means that the patient will now need a donation of new stem cells. The donation is done by extracting the cells from the donor. These cells include also some stem cells. These are put through a cell sorter machine that returns the red blood cells and the platelets and the white blood cells to the donor and collects the stem cells separately. These stem cells can then be donated to a patient who first undergoes the chemotherapy to wipe out all the cells in the bone marrow, and then is given the stem cells from the donor. Now, the complication of this process is that you need to match the donor with the recipient. This is because we have certain proteins called HLA proteins, which are part of our immune system, and they are designed to differentiate between self and non-self. In other words, it allows us to recognize foreign cells such as bacteria and viruses. However, when we deal with a transplant of cells from a donor, these will also be recognized as foreign. And the complication is that each one of us not only have these 8 or 10 different markers, HLA markers, but each one of these markers has variation between individuals. The result is that there is very low probability that any two individuals will have the same LH marker, and so they could not be donors for each other. In order to resolve this problem, bone marrow banks have been set up around the world. What these centers do is that they test for the HLA marker and store that information, so that when a donor requires stem cells, the banks are searched and the donor will donate the cells for the recipient. The donor and recipients will never meet, but the donor will know that they will have saved someone's life. However, despite the fact that we have 25 million donors, registered donors around the world, the probability of finding a match is still not high, and is disproportionate among different ethnicity. While about 60% of white people may find a donor, for other ethnicity it can be as low as 20%. Hence, there is a strong need to attract more donors of all ethnicity into these banks.